So when we left off, sin and its horrible effects were multiplying across the world. And God said, "Nope, I won't let it stay that way." And He gave the promise of restoration, a promise to give us hope, a promise that said, "I will cover over all the deadly effects of sin and give you life." And He started His magnificent plan by a friendship with a man named Abraham. So who was Abraham? When we meet him in Genesis chapter 12, he's about 75 years old. He had no children, and his wife couldn't have children. He didn't even know who God was. In fact, he worshipped other gods in the land he was from. But God called to Abraham. He said, "Go from your country and your family, go to a land that I will show you. Go, and I will make you into a great nation." Abraham must have been wondering, how can an old, childless man father a great nation? So he had a choice to make. Either step out and trust God or continue in his own way. Starting in Genesis 12, we see that Abraham chose to follow God. And not just a little. He moved approximately 1,500 miles or 2,400 kilometers to where God wanted him to be. This was a long way to travel by foot. For those in the U.S., it would be like walking from L.A. to Dallas. As he stepped out to follow God, God makes a covenant promise to Abraham. A covenant is like a serious agreement, promise, or vow. And this is the point where God promised to make him into a great nation, and said that by Abraham all the families of the earth would be blessed. In fact, you can read in Genesis 12 and 13 where God makes all these amazing promises to Abraham. He said, "I will bless you. I will make your name great. You will bless others. I will make you a great nation. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. In you, all the families of the earth will be blessed, and I will give you a land for your descendants." This land in the Bible is called the Promised Land. It's a special land for Abraham's family to live in. Not just now, but in the future when his family actually is a great nation. Although Abraham and his wife couldn't have children, God promised to give him children like the number of the stars. So this story begins with Abraham's name actually being Abram, but it's God who changes his name to Abraham, which means father of many. And God kept his promises to Abraham. He had a son named Isaac. Isaac has a son named Jacob. Jacob will have 12 sons. Later, God changes Jacob's name to be Israel, so that these 12 sons will grow to become what we know as the nation of Israel. You'll read a lot in the Old Testament about these 12 tribes or families of Israel. So Abraham believed God, trusted, and kept faith in God. And God kept his promises to Abraham, and his family grew to become the nation of Israel. This is why Abraham is often called the father of the faith. So what can we take away from today? God blessed Abraham so that he would become a blessing to many others. And God also blesses us so that we can be a blessing to others. Let's feed our thoughts about Abraham's life. How do you respond when God asks you to do something that requires a lot of faith, like to give financially to someone, change your job, make a move, work in ministry, make a wrong right, like apologizing or forgiving someone, or to tell someone about him? Is there something God has asked you to do and you haven't done it yet? There's no time like today to step out and follow God, just like Abraham did. Here's one final piece to Abraham's growing family. In Genesis 37, we begin the story of Joseph, Abraham's great-grandson. And because Joseph had some pretty mean and jealous brothers, they sold him into slavery. Joseph is taken to Egypt, but God is with him. And amazingly, he's promoted from slave to second in command of all of Egypt. And then a great famine hits the land. No food, equals death for many, many people. But Joseph forgives his brothers, and because of his high position, he's able to bring his whole family to Egypt so that they live through the famine. It's during this time that his small family begins to grow into the family nation of Israel. Alright, let's place all of these under our story step of Abraham. God called Abraham, and he chose to follow and obey God. God made a covenant promise to Abraham to make his family into a great nation and bless him abundantly. It's Abraham's 12 great-grandsons that began the 12 family tribes of the nation of Israel. And by this point, you've just finished the entire book of Genesis. Congratulations! Plagues, priests, and sacrifices. Oh my! A big thing happens for Abraham's family and the nation of Israel in our next video of the Law.